doesn't matter how many times I pump the heart on that bad boy, I'm not going to bring it back to life, right? Like I was trying so hard just to keep that dream alive. And I was like, well, if I keep trying to keep it alive, I'm going to send my family broke, right? Yeah. We're sort of churning through our last savings.
Jacob McKinnon, welcome to The Greatest Comeback.
Thank you, Luke Francis. This is exciting.
Again?
I'm pumped. Yeah, I'm pumped.
Welcome again.
Yes.
Because, of course, I was thinking about it this morning. I've recorded 7 of these, and 3 of them required some sort of intervention.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. When I say intervention, I mean 2 of them had to be re-recorded.
Right.
And one of them, I've got the audio complete, but I don't have, I recorded the video about halfway through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So having those conversations with people to call them up and say, listen, hey, that didn't quite work out well has been challenging.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I'm assuming everyone's okay though, right?
You were great and the other person was great as well. Yeah.
Okay.
But people have been really supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, so the podcast.
We want to see you succeed.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Look, the podcast is as much as a work in progress as I am.
Yeah.
So thank you for
all good.
Your generosity.
Happy to be here.
And your willingness to do this again. Now, we met each other in the cut and thrust of real estate.
We did. We did.
You sold me a house.
Yes.
And then you sold a house for me. Mm-hmm. And that was the process. That was the sandpit in which we got to know each other. The buying of the house was a pretty straightforward.
It was.
Transaction. It was the selling of the house, the other house, the house that I was in.
Yeah.
That was really, I guess, that was the time when we got to know each other really well.
Yes.
You know, because that was tricky and it was difficult. Mm-hmm. And we learned a lot. I certainly learned a lot. And I don't know whether you did, but there was, I guess, a guy like you, you're always picking up tips and tricks, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
From things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and it was through that process that, and as we started to get to know each other, you started to open up in terms of your life and, you know, where you come from and your backgrounds and, you know, your journey into real estate.
Just shows you how long that campaign was, right?
That's right. Man, I know so much about you now. I know so much about you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Because of that. In fact, there was a point when I was getting to know you, there was a point when you said to me, and we were talking in relation to a previous business that you owned. Mm-hmm. You said the words to me, I used to have people lined up around the block to see me. Now they weren't even bothering to let me know that they couldn't make our coffee catch up.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this guy's kind of, whether he's willing to tell me this or not, I think this guy's in his own comeback story, you know, and he's doing this real estate thing so well that the idea that this is a new endeavor for him,
yes,
a reinvention for him, didn't even occur to me until I got to know you. Mm. So I want to bring some context to that statement, but before we do that, I think stories need to start at the beginning.
Yep.
Do you want to give me a flavour for where you grew up, how you grew up, what that family dynamic was like, what your childhood was like? Yeah,
sure. And thanks so much for having me on again. Appreciate that. So I think, you know, my family or upbringing was pretty sort of normal for the 80s. I'm an 80s child. I grew up in the Southern Highlands, very working class family. You know, Dad was an electrician on $73 a week. Mum was actually a real estate agent at the time.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like a lot of young families, you know, it was sort of, you know, living sort of from week to week on, you know, whatever money they had. We sort of didn't have anything fancy. I was the middle child, so I got the hand-me-downs from the older brother. And you know, from a young age, we were taught that if you want something, you got to go out and get it, which has been, in hindsight, a great life lesson that I'm trying to pass on to my children. You know, it's interesting. I look back, probably alcohol was a big part of my upbringing from, you know, seeing, you know, my dad, you know, probably probably in hindsight, borderline an alcoholic. And as young boys, we all started drinking and partying at a young age, and that was, I guess, became a part of our upbringing. Not a good part. Like 50% of Australians, our family dynamic separated, and mum went one way and dad went the other, and I got to the point where school was really difficult academically. I really struggled at school.
How old were you when your parents split up?
14.
Okay.
14.
Okay.
So yes, school was tough. Teachers back then didn't really accommodate for children that didn't sort of learn the traditional way. Some, you'd say I'm probably kinesthetic and ADHD and all those other things that a lot of salespeople are. And so it's interesting. I was actually guaranteed by my year advisor that if I would leave school in year 10, that they would make sure I got a school certificate. And it's a true story. Lo and behold, I went to do the exam. I just guessed every question, and I got the results that I'd got 51%. So they passed me on this school certificate, and I left school. So that was at 15. I left school and became a chef. I did my chef's apprenticeship. And the great thing about food, and it's probably up there with one of my greatest interests outside of my family and real estate, but is that when you're cooking, you get to understand that there's lots of different food from all over the world, and for me, being in the Southern Highlands, it made me realise that there's probably a bit more out there. So I got the I guess inspiration, motivation to want to travel. So I did that. At 19, I left here. I did Hong Kong, Germany, France, Ireland, and got to Dublin and worked as a chef. Absolutely loved it there, and ended up falling in and running a nightclub and meeting my wife, and the rest is history. But that's sort of I guess the early days, if you will.
Who were your role models growing up? Did you have any?
Yeah, I don't know if I had any sort of standout role models. I was a big fan of Jamie Oliver.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Jamie Oliver.
He's a good man.
Yeah, he just inspired me that you didn't have to sort of read a recipe to be a good chef. It kind of that really involved and hands-on, and anyone that remember Jamie in the early days, the Naked Chef, when he was just a 23-year-old and cooking in his home, and that I guess he was probably a bit of a role model in my life of going down that route for sure. Yeah.
And would you say that you had a clear vision for what you wanted to do at 19, or were you just kind of enjoying the adventure of life?
I wanted to do more, achieve more, be more than sort of the masses. I always felt uncomfortable being sort of seen as average. And that was a pivotal point when I decided not to be a chef anymore, is when I was at commercial cookery school, and the head teacher said, "Okay, everybody, so you all must love cooking because you're never going to make any money doing this."
Okay.
And at that moment, I was like, man, I don't want to be that guy. And lo and behold, lots of chefs have made a lot of money. But I definitely knew that I had something in me to sort of, achieve something. I wanted to provide a life for myself that was very different to the life that I had growing up. And again, we had clothes on our back. I'm definitely not crying poor. I'm not a victim at all. But I wanted to have a great life, and I knew that if I could put myself into a position where financially I could provide myself a great life doing things that I enjoy, then that would be good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're managing clubs in London?
Dublin. Yeah. Spirit Dublin.
Sounds exciting.
It was exciting.
But you've got some stories from those days.
Yes, I can tell some of them, not all of them though.
Give me one.
I remember when Snoop Dogg came to the club, and he brought his own bouncers, and there was a group at the time called Westlife.
I remember Westlife.
Remember them? Yeah, Brian McFadden.
Yeah.
And Louis Walsh was the manager. Anyway, so they would be regulars at the club, right? And they turned up and they're like, we want to see Snoop Dogg. And Snoop Dogg's bouncers didn't recognize them. And they said no. And then Westlife tried to push past the bouncers. Long story short, the bouncers kicked Westlife out of the club. I got a phone call from the owner.
Snoop Dogg's bouncers kicked them out
of the club. I get a phone call from the owner of the club going, Jacob, why are Westlife just been kicked out of my nightclub? I'm like, well, Snoop Dogg's bouncers kicked him out. He's like, oh, that's fine. so that was
that's a good one.
That's that one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so how did you get from, I mean, so you're managing a nightclub in Dublin. You meet your wife. Mm-hmm. What brings you back to Australia?
We went from Dublin to London first and then spent a long time in London. We had our children there, best part of sort of 10 years there. And set up a great business there in the UK. And then my wife came home, Ania, from work one day, and she had a great job. She was the area manager for Inditex, which owns Zara, Massimo Dutti, a lot of these brands. And she had 83 staff that she was managing. And she came home and said, I quit my job today. And I was like, well, why did you do that? And she's like, well, I really want to move to Australia. Right. And I guess that was my fault because we came back. I didn't come back to Australia for 8 years after I'd left. We came back, though, for a wedding just up the road from where we are here at Centennial. And ever since that wedding, my wife was always thinking one day we'd like to live in Australia. So I was quite set to live in the UK. I was happy there. And I just love how it's connected to the rest of the world, so easy to get around. But she really wanted to move to Australia. So 3 months later, we left.
I always say that we're all sellers.
Yep.
You know, whether we carry a bag or we have a quota, we're all sellers. We're all influencing someone. We're influencing family. We're influencing children to brush their teeth before bed.
Yes.
You know, it just occurs to me that going from chefing to managing a nightclub, there's not a lot of straight down the line selling.
Correct. Yeah.
Where did you make that pivot from chef, nightclub manager to someone that was interested in influencing people?
Yeah, good point. I think that probably started at a very young age. I started my first business at 11, and that was driven through wanting to buy a shirt to go to the disco. And my dad said, well, if you want to buy that shirt, you got to work out how to make the money. So I started knocking on doors like lots of people did back then and was selling my services, which was to mow the lawn, wash the car, sweep the driveway. You know, that ended up turning into a great little business. All my friends were, you know, doing lots of suburbs in the area. And that was probably the first sort of taste of sales that I just thought, I've got a bit of a natural knack of this, and I really enjoy it, and I enjoy the sort of working how to get someone to a point where it benefits them, but obviously it gets the sale. So that's probably where I sort of got the taste of it. And then when I was in the UK, starting in direct sales, which is very raw, again, door-to-door sales in the UK, that was just a sort of something that I really, really enjoyed and thought, you know what, this is a career path for me. And I sort of haven't not been in sales now since 2006. Yeah. So, yeah. It's nearly 20 years.
Long time, isn't it? Yeah. I remember the first, I mean, that's such a great way to earn your stripes as a seller. Like, that's the deep end.
Yes.
You know, knocking on doors.
Yep.
Having people slam them, tell you to piss off.
Yes. Yep.
Cold calling was my introduction to selling.
Yep.
You know, it wasn't a soft landing. It was like
on the phone.
On the phone.
Yeah.
You know, prospects, people that had never spoken.
Yes.
To me before. So that was really helpful in terms of just building some, not just resilience, but also like dealing with no.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Because in your private life, that happens occasionally, but
pretty
in your
easy though, right?
Life,
yeah,
it's constant. So,
yes, it's interesting you say that. Just on that point, so there's been some research that shows that a child can handle 7 no's before they take it personally, and then an adult can only handle 2.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you see a child, can I have this? They go to shops, can I have this chocolate? No. They don't even take it in. And then they go, well, no, can I please have this chocolate? No.
Yeah.
Why can't I have this chocolate? You let me have the chocolate. They just keep going. And most adults crack, right?
Yeah,
you crack
yeah.
before the 7 and then they get what they want.
Yeah.
Whereas an adult, we get told no. We're like, oh, really? And then why is it no? Because it is no. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's really interesting. Yeah. So you grew up with almost an entrepreneurial spirit. Like if you're selling stuff at 11, you're having your own business at 11, that's obviously within you. That's part of your DNA. And so you've got this sort of entrepreneurial, I'll build it type of mentality. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apart from working as a chef for $153 a week, remember that income. That was the last time really that I've sort of been paid by the hour employed. Like even when I ran the nightclub, I had a structure where depending on the sort of ticket sales in the nightclub, then I got a certain, remuneration. And ever since that day moving forward, I've been so performance driven that the idea of, commission only motivates the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Which is, probably why I enjoy real estate.
Is it, just on that, is it the motivation, does that come from a place of excitement and opportunity, or is it driven by fear? Because candidly, oftentimes I've been motivated more by fear than I have the possibility of creating and defining my own circumstances.
Yes. I think that depending on the time of career you're in and what financial stability you have.
That's a great answer.
So whether it is fear or abundance, right? And I think there's nothing better than working on performance-related earnings when you sort of don't need the money. It's just a game and it's a sport.
Yes.
It's unbelievable because you walk away from the customers you should walk away from.
Yeah.
And you spend your time with the right people.
Yeah.
When you're driven by fear, and we've all been there, you will try and extract blood out of a stone. And, my example of that is the Taplow estate in Elephant and Castle in London. I remember I was given this council estate to pitch for the day. I was like, how am I going to make any money here? It is the worst council estate in London. I spoke to someone just recently about this and they're like, yeah, I used to live there. It's the worst. Half of them are empty. Half of them have squatters. Anyway, we were selling energy at the time, like changing people's energy provider and pitching these homes all day long. We get to the end of the day and I was on no sales. It was 9:30 p.m. at night. And this squatter opens the door. I was like, mate, I'm just squatting, come in. I go into the house, there's mattresses all over the floor. It's horrible, this place. But I remembered in the UK that part of the law, if someone's squatting, they can't turn off the electricity. It's against a human right. Long story short, I signed up this squatter to change the energy provider of this place he was squatting in. And that was the sale. And that was definitely driven through. If I don't do that sale, then, I'm probably not going to pay my own rent next week and I might be sleeping on the mattress in his house. So,
yeah. Wow. That's a great story.
Yeah.
So you come back to Australia.
Yep.
Where does the idea for starting the business come from?
So from the experience in the UK, setting up businesses over there, I knew that there would be a good opportunity to do that here in Australia as well, and sort of partnering with other people in Australia that I knew from the UK that were involved in marketing.
Yeah, right. And what did that look like early doors? Was it just you? Did you hire someone straight out of the gates?
It's always been, God bless her, my wife and I.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have gone through the trenches together.
Yeah.
So, when we first started, we were in George Street in Sydney and it was just the two of us. And I remember that recruiting that first person was so difficult because in the UK we had a sizable organization and things were good. And then when we came back
What
here,
sort of business was it? Just to give some people some context. So it's the business that you created with Ania.
yeah, a direct marketing company.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have been pitched at your door or at an event or a kiosk or a shopping center, you ever been sold to face, chances are that they may have been one of our people.
Okay. So those people that approached me in the shopping centre with their clipboard,
Yep.
could have been them.
100%.
Right. Okay. And so that first headcount was a seller?
No, it was just me.
No, the first hire.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Yes. So Ania's does all the back end,
Okay.
the admin, processing. And it was my job to recruit salespeople.
Okay.
Recruit people that wanted to be salespeople, then teach them how to sell.
Got it.
Yeah.
And that first hire worked out?
No. For 3 months, we just couldn't retain anyone. Everyone's like, where's everyone else? We're like, oh, you're the first.
Yeah.
No one wants to be the first. They're like, you're crazy. What are you doing? And then eventually Christian Whitfield, who has gone on to build his own business, he just sold it for a lot of money, which is
Wow,
incredible guy.
that is incredible.
Yeah, great guy. It was, he started and it was his first job. So yeah, it was pretty cool. So it was his first job. He was 18 and then he stayed and I taught him how to sell and then he got really good at sales, making some great money. And then it just went woof from there because
Right.
people were like, well, if he's doing it and he doesn't seem as mad as you, then
Yeah.
we'll do it too.
How did you know when to hire? How did you know when to scale? Or did you take some risk with that?
We were always in scale mode.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, it's like non-stop scaling.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
the analogy of hire sort of slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
No, that's not how we operated. It was let's get people on, let's teach them to sell and let's go again. And then when they're good enough, let's teach them how to run an office.
Yeah.
And then let's send them to that place to run an office. And then let's teach them how to manage a business and then go again. And then take someone from there. For example, the guy that ran Adelaide, we recruited him in Darwin.
Wow.
The guy that ran Gold Coast, he was recruited from Adelaide.
Okay.
We just were moving people around. The lady that ran Newcastle was recruited in Bondi.
Right.
Just moving people around.
And was your template for identifying, let's call it talent, was it always based on someone that was new to sales that hadn't had any experience, or did you get to a point where you were starting to look for people with some miles?
No. There is 3 traits that whether they've got 10 years experience or no experience, if they've got these 3 traits, they're going to do well. And I can teach them. Mm-hmm. But they've got to have these 3 traits. And the 3 traits are, number 1, are you likable?
Yep. It's a good one.
Just it's basic, right?
Do I want to hang out with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you likable when someone has an opinion? Do you listen to it? Or do you try and force your opinion on people? Are you someone that can get on well with others? Are you, the basics of being someone that's likable. So we look for likable people. When they shake your hand, do they look you in the eye and smile? Basics of being likable. I'm like, if you're likable, that's the first trait. If someone's rude or arrogant, straight away, boom, it's not going to work out.
Yep.
The second is work ethic. And you touched on it with the no. If someone doesn't have a great work ethic, they'll never get to enough no's to get the yes.
Yeah.
They'll give up too soon.
Yep.
So, if someone's lazy, they definitely will struggle in sales. And people have a perception that sales is all about being really charismatic and saying the right words at the right time. That's just extra stuff that can help. But if you're just generally a good person and you've got a cracking work ethic, which is why we found a lot of the times people that were from the country would do really, really well because they grew up having to feed the chickens and take the bins out and do hard stuff, So that would be 1, that would be 2. And then the third is student mentality. Just a sort of willingness to want to learn and want to be better. Someone that knows it all, if we would say, why don't you try and do this? Oh yeah, I did that. Why don't you try and do that? Yeah, no, I'm doing that too.
Yeah.
That person will struggle in sales.
Yeah.
So anyone that likable work ethic and student mentality, whether they're, the oldest person I've sort of taught to sell is in their 70s, 75, and the youngest, probably 15. So it doesn't matter. You got those things, regardless of the color of your skin, your sexual orientation, where you're from, where you're not from, what school you went to. All of that is irrelevant, absolutely irrelevant. So, yeah.
So the world of direct marketing for you when Ania catches fire.
Yep.
This thing starts to get some momentum.
Yep.
Give me a sense as to what that business looks like at its peak.
Yeah. So we got to about 20 million revenue in circa a year. 123, 24, I always sort of forget. Anya knows the exact number, but somewhere around that people operating. 12 locations around Australia. So we're sort of everywhere, pitching everyone. So yeah, we're doing a lot of sales.
Yeah.
A lot of sales. We did $43 million in business in 12 months for a brand called Marley Spoon. And that sort of, really helped that brand just go boom. And their biggest competitor, HelloFresh, who we originally were sort of selling on behalf of, we're just like, what on earth are you guys doing? So yeah, that's what it looked
They're
like.
good numbers.
Yeah.
They're good numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just meant that like the people that we had in our business were all living great lives, which is great. Buying homes and all that kind of great stuff. And we were living a great life too, that we sort of, had plenty of money. Kids went to good schools. We lived in a nice house. We drove fancy cars, all the typical, you've got a good life on the outside perception stuff. So yeah, that was good.
The one thing that's consistent in the hero's journey, I'm fascinated with this concept of the hero's journey. In fact, if you look at cultures from different parts of the world, Indonesia, ancient cultures in Africa and Europe and Asia, there's this consistent thing called the monomyth, which a very famous thinker and writer, an academic named Joseph Campbell wrote about in a book called The Hero's Journey. And it's this concept that the hero or the heroine starts off in life and answers the call to adventure. And along that journey, he or she has a fall. And it's life-defining. And then the rest of the narrative is about finding their way back to whatever the thing is they're looking for, the trophy, the guy or the girl, the business. So it's interesting because that seems to me to be the pivot in your story. That's the image that we leave the audience with before we continue the story. A business that's bringing in $20 million a year, 123 people working for you, a great lifestyle for you and your family. But that doesn't last forever.
No.
What happens?
So for us, COVID was interesting. Like for many businesses, but being a face-to-face marketing company, people didn't really appreciate it, being pitched by someone breathing on them. So we, that was an interesting time, and that I guess was was really the end of that business. We sort of hung in there for as long as we could. We were sort of losing about $100,000 a month over that period. And
How long did you hang in for?
We were about a year.
Okay, you were fighting.
Oh, mate.
You were fighting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking about that mouse in the milk. As long as you keep kicking, eventually become butter. We were, and we were pivoting and doing telesales and different marketing, all kinds of stuff to try and keep the dream alive. And we just got to a point that, I knew that. I'm
imagining that you're contracting over that 12 months too in terms of people.
Yeah, we got down to 12 staff.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, the Titanic sinking, right? Some people just jumped off on their own accord. Others sort of stuck in there, but yeah, it was tough. It was tough for sure. And yeah, it's sort of, you go, well, what am I going to do now, right?
Well, how did you? I mean, those 123 people. How did you have those conversations?
A lot of them sort of happened, sort of for themselves, and the government, as you may remember, they did what's called a JobKeeper allowance, where they sort of gave people money.
Yeah.
But when you're the business owner, they don't give you an owner keeper allowance, right? So all of our guys were getting JobKeeper, but as a business, we were still paying lots and lots of money out for rents and for costs and subscriptions and salaries and all this kind of stuff. So that was the sort of, listen, we can't keep you on and keep paying you. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. I've got JobKeeper.
Yep.
So yeah,
it was some of them self-selecting out.
Yes. Yeah. Well, a lot of them, it's so interesting, human behavior. A lot of them were no longer motivated to go into a new campaign that we'd set up because they're like, I don't need to work at all. This is enough money for me for now. So yeah, we were sort of scrambling, trying to get campaigns going, but didn't really have the people that wanted to do it, motivated to do it, because they didn't need to be motivated to do it.
So you hang on for 12 months.
Yep.
Do you remember the conversation that you and Ania had when you decided to wrap it up?
Yep. Yeah, it was, I think it was probably a conversation that I had in my head first, which was, I'm no longer going to be able to do this anymore. I need to do something else.
Yeah.
And then looking for what that something else was, and then having that conversation with her that we're going to wrap this up, but it's okay. I'm going to do this instead.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did that do to your self-belief, self-confidence? Was there a point in that process where you kind of looked in the mirror and thought, well, do I have the skill set? Were you cognizant that this was a point in time that was very much a result of COVID?
Yeah.
Or was there a point when you started to question yourself and your own ability to build a business, build a successful one?
No, I don't think I questioned. No, I don't think I questioned myself, but I did feel that my sort of dignity and my impression of what my future may look like was pretty bleak. Because going back and building a business from scratch again, I knew that was going to take a lot of time, and I knew what I'd done to build that business, and it was really hard, and really tough. And I was like, I don't want to live that life again. I don't want to go through that again. So that was the hardest part of going. The realization that either I go back and start again and build a business from scratch, or I take the easy cop out. And I was getting approached by businesses, corporate businesses, saying, we'll pay you, $100,000 a year, $150,000 a year, $200,000 a year to run our sales divisions, to run our sales teams. We know you're an expert at that. And I was like, yeah, but what does the scope look like? Well, at the very most, you might get to $250,000, and wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, shit, like my expenses were that much a year. That's not going to work. So that was just sort of quite humbling to think, wow. And I probably back to the beginning, I didn't want an average life. I'm like, this looks like an average route. I don't want to take this route.
Did your social circle change much?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I sort of became quite introverted, which was not common for me. I was the guy always out having a drink, catching up with people. But I decided to not cut people off, not at all, but I decided to just completely be insular and focused on what I had to achieve. And the only people I wanted in my life were people that could help us get to where I wanted to go. And that was, making the decision July 2022 to stop drinking and stop doing those things. So that was a real moment. And there is certain friends that I probably only ever went out and, drank with and partied with that I no longer socialize with. And it's just because, I'm not doing that anymore.
You're a different person.
That's it.
Yeah.
And what's nice is a lot of those mates have now gone the same route as me.
Yeah.
And are hyper focused on their family or their career or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And either drink less or don't drink at all. Or so yeah.
Yeah. So this baby that you and Ania have poured your lives into.
Yep.
You watch this disintegrate.
Yep.
What's next?
So
And how long? And how long was it before that finished?
yeah.
Until you got the idea
Yeah.
for what was next?
It was probably like in the final days of that last business that I was then letting go. It's like grief, right? I was just letting go. That's doesn't matter how many times I pump the heart on that bad boy, I'm not going to bring it back to life, right? Like I was trying so hard just to keep that dream alive. And I was like, well, if I keep trying to keep it alive, I'm going to send my family broke, right?
Yep.
And we're sort of churning through our last savings, watching the account just go down. So it was at that moment, I was like, okay, I need to start looking for what that next thing is because I've only probably got a very short period of time where I have a bit of freedom to be able to give something a go where I'm not relying on having to make money right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And where did the idea for the next thing come from?
So real estate is an interesting one. And a lot of people are like, oh, you must love homes and architecture and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, that's not really my motivation, right? I think real estate, I was attracted to that industry because it meant I could just be the very best version of myself, which was just like dealing with people. And there's nothing I love more than just dealing with people. And yes, I really appreciate dealing with great people compared to maybe, not so great people, but I get energized around great people. It's my thing. Yeah. I love it. And then I also love the fact about real estate that it's the most like engaged people will ever be in a sales process, which I like that. I like that people take this stuff really seriously.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I never thought about that. Yeah.
And it's important to them. And I like feeling like I get to add value to your life. I like that. I like to think if I do a really great job, you're going to be really happy with me. It's quite basic, right? But I really like that. I like buyers to be happy. I like sellers to be extremely happy. And so I was like, man, this makes sense. And then I was like, man, these guys that sell homes, I looked at the commissions. I was like, hang on a minute. So if it's like 1 million, you get paid 20 grand. If it's 2 million, it just compounds. You get paid 40. If it's 3, I was like, the money is crazy in this game. I'm like, if I can do what I really enjoy doing and you get paid really well to do it, this kind of makes sense. So that's probably where the decision to get into real estate made a lot of sense for me. And a bit of a crossover that some of the sales guys that I had in my industry, in our previous company, had gone on to be real estate agents, right? Or buyer's agents. One of them right now is up there with one of the best buyer's agents in Australia. He just did a $19 million deal a couple of weeks ago. Wow. So like these are guys that I taught to sell. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm like, I taught you how to sell. And they've gone on to do so well. Wow. So yeah, I thought, well, there's got to be some crossover here. And there is so much crossover from face-to-face sales to real estate. And I think that if I can give any input to anyone in real estate, make it as face-to-face as possible and you'll kill it. Yeah. If you're trying to do it all in the office and all with data and what email you can send and what text, get out of that, get out of the office and go get face-to-face and you will love it and you'll do really well at it.
Where did the opportunity come from?
It didn't. I had to create it. I rang a friend in Mudgee who I knew was a real estate agent. I said, mate, I need you to sort of teach me this. So I did my real estate license online in 3 days in my bedroom in Wallara. Got a Class 1 license. So I actually did it in Queensland, then transferred it to New South Wales to become a Class 1, which was completely legal. But I was a Class 1 agent with no experience, no real estate experience, loads of sales experience, no real estate experience. So then I went to Mudgee for 6 weeks and learnt the experience. I just, would travel there every week. And thanks to Adam Woods, that he really gave me that blueprint of how to really do great in real estate. I then took that, then said to the fam, we made a decision that we would move from Sydney, Wallara, down to the Southern Highlands, where I'm originally from. And we bought a house, and I started knocking on doors.
Working for yourself?
Originally, yes. I started working for myself. And then I reached out to lots of local agencies in the area. That was where the being stood up for a coffee comes from. I rang the best agent at the time, and said, I'd love to come and, get some experience in your agency, and I just want to be a commission only agent. If you let me represent your brand, that would be great. He stood me up for a coffee. I then rang another high performing agent at the time. He said, no, you don't have enough real estate experience. We wouldn't take you on. Then rang another guy, Damien at Highlands Property. And he's like, mate, yeah, go for it. If you want to go and be an agent, go for it. And that was really good of him. And he sort of let me represent their brand and go out and get into it.
And how was it for the early days?
Shocking. Yeah, shocking.
Yeah.
No, the worst. I say the worst. People were like, who are you? Yeah. What have you sold?
Yeah.
And I'd say nothing. And so, it took 6 months to get my first listing. And that's not 6 months of waiting for a listing. That's 6 months of knocking on doors every day. Like I did 173 market updates before I got my first listing.
Wow.
And then it just happened to be I got that listing. And because I was familiar with fast-paced closing and selling, I was able to sell this house for a street record in 2 weeks. And I'm in an environment down here where people expect it should take, a long time to sell. And I was like, but why? So then I sold that house, and then, I sold the one across the road, and then I hit my trifecta, which was a goal of mine. I sold the 3 across the road together, 12, 14, 16, sold them all. And then I just started penetrating that area. We now have an 85% market share just in that 1,500 homes.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit. So you said it took you 6 months to get your first listing, and then once it was listed, 2 weeks for a market record.
Yeah.
Again, I just want to kind of drill into that 6 months of nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
Where are you at through that period? You still feeling that this is your thing? Or is there a point where you kind of think, 6 months?
It was more the financial situation of, I got to a point where I was like, I've got really 6 months to go. But if I don't start making some money, I'm out.
Yeah.
I can no longer do this. I got to go get a job.
Yeah.
And, at that time I had everyone around me saying, maybe you should just go and get a job.
Yeah.
Maybe this is not for you, or maybe you should go and be an associate agent for another agency and make, $100,000 a year as an associate. And I'm like, no, it's not going to work.
Yeah. And that's, and obviously that's just continued in terms of your success, right? It's, when we were in the middle of our sales process, we were selling Kia Mala. I remember there was a day, and I probably should have asked you this earlier, but there was a day when I said, by the way, Jacob, how long have you been doing this?
Too late to ask that.
Do you remember that conversation? I do. I think.
Yeah.
And you told me, and I kind of thought, should I be concerned about that? Because the answer was, at the time, I think it was just less than 2 years.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah,
Then. Yeah.
it was just less than 2 years.
Yeah, it would have been.
And not for 1 second, prior to learning that, not for 1 second did I have any doubt that you were the guy.
Okay. Appreciate that.
You know?
Yes.
For all the reasons you've just articulated.
Yeah.
You were so full of energy. Even you were doing backflips to try and create a different angle. We'd update the photos. We'd try something else. You got drones in to take footage of the house. You were borrowing people's sports cars to have parked on the driveway for the photographer.
Yeah.
I was, I would just...
Who randomly lives down the road from here now. It's kind of random, right?
Right. And I would look out the window, or I'd be on the lawn watching this thinking, this is incredible. Like, I'd never encountered a real estate agent
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
And so when you said 2 years, I thought about it for a second, then I thought, doesn't matter.
Yes.
Because look at him.
Yeah.
He's all over this.
That's it.
I mean, I know you don't want to toot your own horn, but you've had a lot of success in a very short space of time.
Yes. Yes.
And you measure that in terms of the number of houses sold, the amount of commission you've made, but probably, I would imagine, more importantly, the network and the trust that you've developed with the people that you've been selling to, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's nice now. Like, I'm a big fan and do a lot of prospecting, but it's nice now to get called in to properties. And like, example, I'll give you today, I was sort of called into a property, circa 7 million. And I said, why did you call me in? They're like, well, you're Jacob McKinnon. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, you're the guy.
Yeah.
You're the guy. We were told that if we're going to get anyone, we've got to get you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is that? They're like, well, you're known for going above and beyond to get the best results you can.
Yeah.
So it's nice. That's nice now, for sure. Yeah. But I guess when I was selling for you, there was no one calling me in. And I'll never forget our first conversation too, when I originally had a chat to you and I could sense from you that you were sort of intrigued and just like highly intelligent in the way you approached the conversation. I'm like, this guy knows what he's doing. He knows the questions he's asking.
I was just interested in just being a salesperson. I was just interested in your world. I was interested.
You were? I thought you wanted to be a real estate agent. I was like, what's he up to? Yeah.
I was interested in sales cycles and how you get listings and how commission works and all that sort of stuff. And it was a real eye-opener. And I think the other thing that you, over the course of our relationship, which of course now has turned into a friendship, but I think, and I don't think I've told you this, but I think you, more than anyone, certainly in recent years, have demonstrated to me the value of going big.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that day I drove into the Harris farm.
Yep.
In Barrel.
Yep.
I'll never forget that day. And I parked up outside Cafe Rosso and I got out of the car. I didn't notice it. And I was flipping around with my phone and I put my keys in and I looked up and there's this massive poster of the back of your head.
Yes. Yeah, that's
the
shot.
It's a great photo because it's you standing, looking at a dressage event of some description.
Correct.
But it's a terrific photograph, and I just thought, I saw that and thought, oh yeah, this guy's not playing.
Yeah, that's and that billboard cost me $6,000 a year, and it's definitely.
I bet it's a talking point.
Well, it's made me a lot of money. That billboard.
Wow.
Like we're talking over $100,000 a year.
Incredible.
Yeah, easy.
It's been it's interesting to see that skill set that you developed over the course of being what I would describe as an entrepreneur was almost directly transferable by the sounds of things.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And it's that blind faith that it's all going to work out. And what you do now, you may not see the value in what you're doing right now, but the old Steve Jobs, you can connect the dots looking back. Like you can look back and go, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be good at this. And if I wasn't good at this, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
And
if that didn't fail.
Yes.
If that didn't fail, I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't
True.
be making $100,000 off a billboard in Barrel.
Yeah, true.
You know what I
It's
mean?
so true.
But
Yeah.
at the time, you don't think about that.
Yeah.
You don't think about that.
And that's good to mention, because the place that I'm in now, not just financially, but just sense of value and self-worth and where I feel my life and career going is so much better than the peak of running the previous business. And yeah, and you are right. I don't think if that hadn't failed, I'd probably still be doing that. If COVID hadn't happened, I'd still be there
Yep.
doing that right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Traveling for 6 months of the year, entertaining people all the time, not seeing my family very much, and, building this business. But now it's, my life is brilliant.
Yeah. Because you get, you used a great word before. You used the word grief. You get lost in the grief. You get lost in the story of this and what are people going to think and,
Yeah.
And you don't, at the time, you're unable to understand that there are doorways now that are going to open as a result of this one closing, but you just don't know which ones they are.
true.
Yep. I've said it before in the podcast, but one of my favorite quotes, Soren Kierkegaard, life must be lived forwards, but can only be understood backwards.
Oh, you must read a lot.
Isn't that a kick-ass quote?
You've got some crackers.
Isn't that great?
That's-
of course. We can only move forward, but it's only with the benefit of hindsight that we realize, oh yes, I'm so pleased that it happened. Otherwise, this other thing wouldn't have happened.
Yes.
Yeah,
Great.
mate, what are the lessons? Just imagine you've got a young sales team watching this
Yep.
podcast,
Yep.
or listening, and they're early on in their careers,
Yeah.
and they're still in hustle mode.
Yep.
Or you've got some people that are thinking about maybe starting their own businesses. They've developed a skill set. What are the lessons that you would pass on to them from the point of view of someone that has had great success in one industry, watched that fall apart,
Yeah.
and has been able to reinvent themselves and be successful in the next one?
Yeah.
Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah. It's interesting. I think that sometimes when things are not going your way, you can get really caught up in that. And you can get really caught up that, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I should do something else, or maybe, I should quit, or whatever. Like you can get really caught up in the moment. And then I think sometimes when things are going your way and you're doing well, you can get really caught up in the moment. And you can be like, man, I am the best.
I'm the king.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I am amazing. And I think what I've learned is that balance is the most important thing to focus on. That when things are not going your way, like, it's not forever. This too will pass. Don't get so caught up in it. Just, as you said, keep moving forward and focus on small steps. And for me, if things are not going my way, I always go back to my morning routine. And I know that if things are not going my way and I can just focus on getting my morning routine right, it sounds stupid, but it gives me a sense of sort of confidence that things are going to start going the way again. I'm like, yeah, because I achieved, my morning routine. I'm like, you're doing great again. You got this, Jacob. You got this, right? So it gives me that confidence. So I focus on things I can control that are quite sort of small, short-term things. If things are going my way, I always stop for a second. And, this week's a great example of that. We've done great this week. We've done a lot of sales. We made a lot of money. Things are good. But I'm also like, Jacob, don't get too caught up in that, because you got to keep moving forward. You got to keep doing the things that got you to what you got this week. And I always work in the delayed gratification mindset, that whatever I'm getting right now, it's not for what I'm doing now. It's what I did 12 weeks ago to get me to where I am now. So if things are going your way, keep doing what you did 12 weeks prior to that point to get you to that point so you can keep moving forward. Like, don't forget to keep doing the right thing, and sort of don't get too caught up in that, and just be cool. Just be cool. And I think when you come home to your family, it's the worst thing that you can do is come home and just offload, right? Come home and oh man, today was shit and this person pissed me off and, you know, I'm angry and, you know, don't talk to me, whatever, right? That's the worst thing you can do. Your family don't deserve that, right? They didn't do anything wrong. And vice versa, if you come home and then next time you're just super excited and happy, they're like, man, they don't know who they're going to get. So I think having that white line fever a little bit, I know what it's like to be obsessed. And if you are in a performance-related industry and you're building something, you're building a business, you will be obsessed. And you have to be obsessed. But try to leave your obsession for what you do at the door. So when the reason I wear a suit every day is when I'm working is because I'm obsessed. And I have this mindset that as soon as I sort of put my tie on, and you'll see I scratch my neck a lot because I don't find it overly comfortable, but I do it because it reminds me that now's your time to perform. But as soon as I come home and my tie comes off and, you know, I'm relaxed, I'm like, I'm not focusing on being obsessed about work. I'm focusing on being obsessed about cooking, about what my kids are up to, about my wife. So I think having that, being able to compartmentalize your life will help you. Don't get too caught up when things aren't going well. Don't get too caught up when things are going great. And you'll be all right.
That's great advice. Mate, I want to be respectful of your time because I know you've got an auction to get to.
We do this afternoon, yes.
But just very quickly, the comeback isn't complete. I don't think the best comebacks are ever complete.
Yep.
It's just a continuous process of reinvention and getting better. And what's the next thing for you?
We're super excited. And as I'm saying this, no one else knows it. So, when it comes out, it'll be more common knowledge. But we're really excited. We've worked towards this for a long time and a lot of support and help from you, which is really appreciated. Just giving us that you can do it guidance. So we're setting up our own brand called Harper's Realty, which we believe can become a renowned brand here in Australia. We believe it can sit alongside, if not, at the same table as the McGraths, as the Ray Whites, and we believe that this brand of Harper's can be an incredible brand that will provide, a lot for a lot of people, and that's about to launch. So it's exciting.
It's exciting.
It's really exciting. Yeah.
Good on you. Yeah. I'm excited to see what happens with that.
Yes. Yeah, it's and that early stage of building anything is just so exciting, right? That journey is so cool.
Yeah. Mate, that's why I was so keen to get you on the podcast, because I think when you kind of live that life, you perhaps because you're in it, you don't actually you don't get the opportunity to stand outside and actually look at the whole picture, the whole flow of the story. But I think you've got a great comeback story, particularly for people that are business-minded, business-focused. I think it's very inspiring. It's motivating, and it's also an invitation to do the same. So thanks for being on the podcast. I appreciate all you've done for me and the advice you've given me with this thing. So I wish you.
I'm a big fan.
One of the best.
I'm a greatest comeback fan. I'm a huge fan. Of what you're doing.
Thank you.
And you have one of those voices. I'm sure your listeners would agree that it's just like nice to listen to.
Okay, well, that's encouraging.
Yeah, I put it in the car the other day. I was listening to Jade and your interview. I was like, man, this is like really enjoyable.
Yeah,
I listened to it so much. I was in the gym training. I'm like, Luke's still in my ear. I've normally got Eminem, but I'm like, no, this is good.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for the encouragement.
No, all good.
And thanks for being on the podcast.